Giants on Christmas Day, and it was a Christmas gift. That's what that was. That we didn't win another game that whole season. Then you go the next year. You have trust again in your offensive coordinator. He was able to put together a plan, said, listen, if you guys do this plan, we will win.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, everybody else, like all the other places he had been to, they didn't put 100% trust into that. They decided to do that in Philadelphia, and they won a Super Bowl. He goes and becomes the Saints head coach, and he's starting, like I said, if when we get to that point, I think that he wins the division this year for them, just because I think he's the best coach in that division. We'll talk about that later. But last year, again, no trust in the offensive coordinator. So much so that the defense decided to stop playing too. I feel like that's what occurred a little bit. That the defense had so mistrust in the offense that they were just like, we're not going nowhere. This is too messed up. And I feel like that dissension in the locker room created the loss. Again, the 49ers beat us, knock us out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I feel that, okay, you've gotten rid of, you're talking about that addition by subtraction. A.J. Brown didn't even make it to the first day of training camp, and he's getting yelled at by the coach.
And he's complaining. So at least it's going well.
Yeah, so obviously we started off the right way here. We got rid of that distraction. There's going to be other distractions, and there always is. Some we know about, some we don't know about. AJ Brown is a distraction that everybody knows about because he makes it be known.
Mm-hmm.
Howie does these signings on the first day of camp to show everybody else.
That's messed up, Joe. Don't put that.
I want to see the ticket, Joe. Buddy. I want to see the ticket. I don't believe you bet at all, so I want to see the ticket. So until you say, just because you say it, don't mean I believe you.
Where will AJ Brown?
We want to see your bet right here.
What type of season will AJ Brown have in New England? Will it be a number 1, 3, 5 receiver type season? Where do you guys see AJ Brown's season in New England this year?
No, I don't think it'll be that high.
Like if you're asking me where I would draft him in a fantasy football draft, I would have him as a 4th rounder.
4th rounder.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like
you're waiting to the 4th rounder to get AJ Brown.
Well, we have a 10-person league, so he's in the top 40. So I'm thinking that he's going to get chosen in the 4th round. That's where I have him. In a 10-team league, he's in the top 40 picks. He's somewhere between 31 and 40. That's where I have him.
I could see that. I could see that. I mean, New England's
that might be low.
Their schedule is going to be much tougher. So we'll see what Drake May can do with a little more aggressive defense coming at him. So he
have aggressive defense with a much better receiver to throw to.
But I'm talking about his line specifically. Is he going to be running for his life? Can he get the ball to AJ? That's actually one of the things he's complaining about is they're not letting him throw the ball enough already.
I mean,
if you're mad at not getting
I didn't hear a complaint.
What's that?
I haven't heard the complaint, but
oh yeah,
I haven't heard the complaint.
Yeah, no, that came out yesterday. Yeah, so
it's obviously it's day one. This is day one of camp, so
yeah, he's the number 1 receiver. I'm like, I don't know where the complaint of him not getting touches is. He's going to be the number 1 receiver. Like the ball's coming to you, dude. So settle down.
Well, no, what he was saying is that they're not letting him throw it enough during camp already because their camp's been in for a couple of days. So he doesn't like the opportunities that he's getting already, which is hilarious. And then, there's plenty of video of him dropping the opportunities he was getting. So, I mean, you know, I don't feel bad for him. I hope they have tons of chaos.
Yeah,
spoken like I had. So can I ask you guys a question, please? This is something I'm curious about. I need somebody else's opinion because I think the greatest coach ever coached the game is getting disrespected in a big time way. And what do you guys think? Can Bill Belichick tarnish his legacy in North Carolina?
No. As far as his pro legacy, no.
His coaching, I mean, it would just be coaching legacy. That's what I'm asking about.
No.
Belichick,
that's not true. That's not true. And here's why that's not true. Is Urban Meyer is still viewed as a fantastic college coach, despite being one of the biggest dumpster fires to ever hit the NFL. He leaves the NFL. People still regard him as one of the best college coaches. It's a thing. It's how that's how he got back on TV, is because of his college resume. It has nothing to do with anything he did in Jacksonville.
I will tell you, I think that Tom Brady deciding to give Bill a little bit of flowers in the process of the way he's been explaining things and how, like he's been more vocal on the fact that, hey, listen, it took both of us to win 6 Super Bowls. It had nothing to do with just me. It had nothing to do with just Bill. It required everybody to do it.
Of course.
And I think that when you hear that from the guy who's considered the best to ever play the game at that position,
he's not, but continue.
Right.
Most accomplished. He's the most accomplished at that position.
That's not the best, but continue.
Right. I mean, because I will have that same type of argument as well. But that is going to be enough to have him solidified. Plus, I think once he finally gets done with coaching at North Carolina and Bill starts to tell his stories, I think, because the one thing that you never knew about Bill is that he does have a personality.
Yeah.
And I think that nobody's ever seen that personality. But the moment that you start to, and he starts to tell those stories and he make you laugh because those stories are funny, like I think that changes the way that everybody looks at him. And he's not just the guy who put the dog in the chair when they were doing the draft picks on COVID.
I think that was funny. That was funny. I think that was funny. That was comical.
I thought it was very comical too. But people looked at that, and media looked at that, and like the media was able to sway that to make it look like that was disrespectful.
Sure.
And I think that resonated because people listened to the media because they got nobody else to listen to. And I feel like that's been the story with him. I think he's been the best coach for a long time, and I feel that even Bill Parcells knew how great of a coach he was. Other coaches have known how fantastic of a coach he was. His tree, is funny though, is small.
Yes.
Which tells me that really he was really the architect.
Yeah. His assistants have never really panned out. Like he's had a couple that have worked, but for the most part, they end up getting a shot. They flame out hard and then they're gone.
Andy Reid, Andy Reid, I felt like was great at teaching head coaching. That he was able to create head coaches.
But you guys,
if you worked under him,
and you guys ran Andy Reid off.
Well, yeah, that's beside the point. That doesn't.
Never
his
mind.
time,
Never
his
mind. He
time here
wasn't
was
good
done.
enough for us.
His time here was
he
done.
wasn't good enough for us. But
No, he spent 12 years here, and his time here was done. I mean, that was just it. Like, I have no bad blood to Andy Reid. He brought us to 4 NFC Championship games. It wasn't until he got Patrick Mahomes that he learned about time management. He had to learn that in Kansas City, and Patrick Mahomes had to teach him by taking it away from him.
Has he learned that, or does
I don't know that he really has learned it yet. I think that Patrick Mahomes is better at stealing it. Like Patrick Mahomes knows when he's got to take it from Andy. Yeah. So I feel that that's a real thing. But Andy Reid was great at teaching other coaches how to be head coaches.
Mm-hmm. Well, you brought up the Chiefs and Andy Reid, obviously. Well, Andy Reid and the Chiefs. Does Eric Bieniemy bring these guys back to? Does Eric? What's the advantage, or what is Eric Bieniemy going to do for this team? What do you guys see?
think that Eric Bieniemy is great at canceling out the noise. I think that there's a certain level of noise that comes with Patrick Mahomes and comes with Travis Kelce. And I think he's a noise canceller. He is, and he does it through his own noise, screaming and yelling and carrying on. Like, I don't know that he's got the best politically correct coaching, like the way that most coaches do it now. So I feel that he cancels all that noise out by being old school. And I tell you what, right now I feel like there ain't enough of that.
Well, that's right. I mean, the game has changed a little bit of PAX. The game has changed just a little bit.
Understood.
Over the last few years. But yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I'm eager to see his impacts. I believe Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback that the three of us have seen in our lifetime. So does a healthy Patrick Mahomes alone change their fortunes, or was Eric Bieniemy that much of rock or staple for the Chiefs in years past? I'm eager to see that. I
mean, define healthy, because I want Patrick Mahomes defined healthy because I want Patrick Mahomes to have a high ankle sprain in the playoffs.
I mean,
hey, that hasn't stopped him from winning a Super Bowl either. So
no, that's what I'm saying. He plays better with it. So like,
no, I like to see a healthy Patrick Mahomes do his thing. But I mean, their issue is their receiving core. Can the receiving core step up and help my man out a little bit? Because the receiving core has kind of been less than impressive in the last couple of years. I say that.
I agree with you there, and I feel that sometimes, like when he went to his first couple of Super Bowls, he didn't have those guys. I mean, it wasn't until really it was like, okay, I know he had what's his face who now can't run. He's got that bum leg right at the moment, but the fastest guy who. Tyreek Hill. Yeah. You know what I mean? I know that he had that, but even in the Super Bowl against Tampa Bay, he was hitting Tyreek in the helmet, and Tyreek wasn't catching those balls. You know what I mean? Like he probably shouldn't have even played that game. I know he was playing under a concussion, and he still was not the reason why they lost, because he was hitting guys, like he just hitting them. Like, hey, you're wearing our jersey. Definitely turn around and catch the ball. He's like hitting them in the shoulders and stuff like that. These guys aren't paying attention and whatever. And, I felt like that it was almost like that somebody was paying off everybody so that Tom Brady won his 7th.
Yeah, but sometimes there's also like Juju, who hasn't done anything, had a great year with him the first time through.
Right. Yeah.
He played well, obviously, with the Steelers, and then outside of that, he hasn't done anything. He had 1 year there where he balled out during that season. So I mean, now he came back and didn't do anything the second time. But
so I think that although I personally would argue that Joe Montana definitely falls a little bit more into that conversation
Joe
in terms
Montana.
of people that I've watched. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mhm.
That I've also, like I said, I was at that Super Bowl. I gave him his flowers right away when he won that Super Bowl. I'm like, that's why he is right now the best quarterback in the NFL. I watched, I had scientific report on why he was able to be so effective in the second half. You know, like it was just like, hey, the fact that they had 8 extra minutes in the halftime was able to make the difference. Like it don't matter how much they shoot his leg up with. He could have had a leg that he couldn't feel for weeks. It wouldn't have mattered. He still had to do everything he needed to do to win that game, and he did it all. He did it all, and I watched him do it all, including act enough to be able to get the flag on that last drive. You know what I mean? Because he did that too. You know what I mean? And listen, whatever, it doesn't matter. He was able to make it happen, and he was able to lead them to a comeback where we were up by 14 points, 10 points, 14 points in the first half. So all that stuff, I watched that stuff, and I gave him his flowers then because you saw why he was considered the best quarterback in the NFL.
But you have Montana ahead of him. Is only Montana or just Montana?
Hey, listen, I watched Joe Montana against the gangrene defense score 4 touchdowns in 5 minutes and 47 seconds when Seifert was ready to take him out of the game. I watched that as he scored 4 touchdowns in the end zone I'm sitting in, and I'm watching down on him because I was on the first row of the 600 level at the vet, watching him do this and tear apart our defense after he was sacked 9 times in that game. When you see that level of greatness, and listen, I've watched great play, and I'm not one of those guys that's just poo-poos past things. You know what I mean? Like it's that day gave me so much more respect for the quarterback position as a whole, and Joe Montana as somebody who. It was like watching Joe Burrows in his first game against the Eagles.
Who was your quarterback that game? Who was your quarterback that game?
That game was Cunningham. Randall. So, also, amazing quarterback with no help. You want to talk about somebody who was not given any help? Not with the Eagles. He never had any help with the Eagles.
Mike Quick didn't play for
Mike
the Eagles?
Quick. Mike Quick was already out. Yeah, Mike Quick was out. Mike Quick played one season with Randall Cunningham.
Keith Jackson. Okay, he played
Keith Jackson at that point. That was his last season. He played for 3 years. Keith Jackson, one of the best tight ends to ever play the game, in total. And I've spoken to Keith Jackson about it.
How you gonna say he didn't have no help?
He didn't really have any help. He didn't have an offensive coordinator. Every resource for that Eagles team went to the defense and went, to Buddy Ryan. Like it just literally was all about Buddy's defense, and that's that. You can say what you want. I lived it. Trust me. It was all the defense.
To say Randall Cunningham didn't have any help, but didn't Keith Byers play on that Eagles team?
He did. Listen,
I just named 3 guys, and I didn't even look at the roster. The 3 solid players that I didn't even look at the roster.
And how many playoff games did they win? How many playoff games did they win? Who was their offensive coordinator? Hey, listen, when the defense has scored as many points as the offense is,
and you have one of the greatest defenses in all of football, in all of the history of football. So
I understand.
To say Randall Cunningham didn't have any help is preposterous.
I could bring in a lot of football players that would say the exact same thing.
You're gonna bring in
played on that team. You're gonna bring in no. I could bring in Seth Joyner. Keith Byers. Ask Keith Byers. Like I said, I would love to get Keith Byers on the show one day to tell you and explain to you how he felt the exact same way. That listen, the person who was making the adjustments at halftime a lot of the time was Jim McMahon. Because their offensive coordinator was horrible. There was no resources in the offense. No resources for the offense.
Say the offensive coordinator was horrible. Don't say Randall Cunningham didn't have any help. Because I'm gonna refute that. I'm sorry. I'm gonna refute that.
Okay, you can refute it all he wants. Because the moment he started to get real players, he went 15-1. And if it wasn't for the kicker of the Vikings and the holder of the Vikings, they would have probably won the Super Bowl that year, right?
You're comparing the 1998 Vikings, one of the until recently the top 3 scoring team in the league, to what the 80s Eagles did. Come on, it's not. It's 2 different things. In Minnesota, everything went to the offense. In Philly, everything went to the defense. To your point, there are 2 totally dramatic different squads there.
You are 100% correct, and I'm just telling you that there was not enough. So here's the one thing that I could say: the offensive line of all of those Eagles teams was like 25th or less during those seasons. They were one of the worst offensive lines. That's all I really need to say. Had any bit of resource went to the offensive line, had any bit, they would have. You just told me
they had there was no resources.
There was none. Offense. They all went to the defense. The defense was one of the greatest of all times because of the fact that every resource went that way. Every resource went that way. I'm just saying. Listen, I lived it. I was here. I know. You could blame the fog for the Fog Bowl that maybe we would have beaten Chicago that day had there been no fog.
I don't know how the game didn't get postponed. I don't know how it did get canceled. That was a weird one. That was a weird one to me. And
because they never did those things then. You're right. Had that happened today, they would have delayed the game.
Those arguments are hilarious because based on that, if we had 53 other guys, we would have won more than 2 games in 92. Like, what are we talking about?
So I get it. I hear all the things you're saying, but I also, like I said, I watched Joe do that. And just like that's what made me a fan of Joe Burrow. Watching his very first game, Joe Burrow against the Eagles, he gets sacked 8 times and then gets up, brushes himself off, and leads his team to a tie against us.
Yeah.
There's no reason that there should have been a tie at all. Actually, we should have crushed him that game, but Joe Burrow just did not quit. He did not quit. It's what made me a fan of him from the very beginning. Now, unfortunately, he hasn't been able to stand up as well since that game, but I mean, he knew how to take punishment.
Well, his protection has gotten worse since then also. But
it was bad then. He got sacked 8 times that game.
No. It was bad then, but it got worse as time went on. So
hopefully you talk about putting some focus on spreading focus around their team. Hopefully they put a little focus on their defensive side of the ball.
Well, they drafted a kid and they got a free agent, and then they were like, we're bored. So will it be better? Sure. Because they were 31 of 32 last year. Will they be a top 10 defense? Absolutely not.
No, I mean, come on. Who top 10? They got to get out of the 30s.
I don't know that they're
32 teams.
I don't know that they're a top 20 defense. They're probably going to be somewhere in that 22 to 25. Will it be marketably better than where they were? Marketably better? Sure.
That 21% might be just enough.
Are we talking about the Bengals?
Yeah.
No chance. I got them at 28. They're the 28th ranked defense.
I think they'll elevate a little bit more than that, only because of how bad they were. So I think they'll be kind of that mid-20s. That's probably about where they'll be.
I think that the Dallas defense has gotten better enough that they jumped them. So now you've already gone back one spot.
Yeah, no.
So now you're the
Dallas,
worst defense in the league.
Dallas will be a
So where'd you have
middle.
Dallas at 29? Where'd you have
No, I
Dallas?
had Dallas at 32.
Yeah,
Dallas was the worst defense in the league last year,
They
and
were.
then I got Cincinnati at 31. So now if Dallas has jumped them, just because I feel like that they've done enough, now you're the worst defense in the league. Now who's better? Who are you better than?
Tampa. Be better
I
than
think
Tampa.
I don't know that you're better than Tampa. Well, especially now that guy wants to get out too. I mean, I got to imagine that's
Vita Vea
not going to
wants to
help
go.
their things.
Yeah, and their defense is going to spend a lot of time on the field. So
I feel like Oakland's tough. You had Arizona, their defense was supposed to be great, and they were not. And I think that they may, be in that mix of in the 30s, 31, 32, 30, 31, 32. You don't want to be in any one of those spots.
No,
but I don't know that. I think Cincinnati right now is probably in the 31 spot again.
Yeah, I think they did enough little things to be better. Again, I think they're mid-20s, and they're not going to make a huge jump. Now, Dallas, on the other hand, they did some actual work in this offseason.
Got some players. They got some players now.
They drafted. That's
what I'm saying. They drafted some players. Yeah.
7 picks, 5 of them were defense. So
I mean, the safety and their linebackers is going to have the most impact on that squad. So.
They picked up so Downs was their first pick, and he's going to make an immediate impact. They picked up a corner in the 4th round that I think is going to be helpful to them, and then they picked up 3 edge rushers. Malachi was the first one they picked up. He'll be a factor. He was their other first round pick.
Be in their rotation,
yeah. And I feel that like Dallas's defense is always reliant on the middle linebacker. Yeah. That's very, and Vander Esch has been put together with duct tape and bubble gum for the last few years.
Is Vander Esch playing again? Is he?
No. That's what I'm saying. He was. Yeah. Now, once you replace him with somebody that's more sufficient, I think that you make that defense a lot better in general. That's how their defense runs. And without that guy in place, their defense fell apart last year.
Right. I think they drafted a linebacker. I don't know a name off the top of my head, but I think they drafted a linebacker.
That is correct. They did. They put in. I thought that was their 2nd round pick.
The Giants. How do you feel about the Giants? Are you worried about the Giants at all? Are you worried about Dart? Or I'm not worried about Scatterboo. I don't think Scatterboo is going to finish another season. But are you worried about? Not worried about the Giants and Harbaugh at all? Not one bit. Not one bit.
No. I think the
Giants have some talent. I think the Giants have some talent quietly. I'll be interested to see. I don't know. I'll be interested to see Harbaugh's impact. I think they had a lot of veteran players in Baltimore. In Baltimore, things were set up pretty sweetly for him, where they was always getting the cream of the crop players in the draft. And he had to just put them on the field and kind of work with them. I'm interested to see the impact that Harbaugh has in New York. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm interested to see that. That's going to be intriguing to me this season. And, I mean, they got a quarterback. They got a receiver. They don't have – how the GM still has a job is beyond me.
So they're going to be interesting, not necessarily good, right? Like they're going to be
intriguing.
Yeah, they're going to be a fun watch. They'll be a fun watch even in losses. Like they're going to be entertaining. Will it equal a lot of wins? Probably not. Like that's probably a 7 or 8 win team at best. But will they be interesting? Absolutely.
I think they.
I have the over under for New York football teams over under at 12 wins
combined.
When you say
combined
football teams, okay, they're AFC, NFC. I'm talking about combined. The New York Giants. I'm talking about the New York Giants.
Both teams. I'm saying that they are going to be under. They're going to be under.
How you combine both teams? They're in 2 different divisions.
I'm just saying that both the New York teams stink.
The Giants have good players on their defense. That the defense they'll be better. I think the Giants are going to be better than anticipated. I want to see Harbaugh's impact. Harbaugh's going to have a huge impact on this squad, whether they whether win 7 games or they win 10 games. Harbaugh is going to have a huge impact.
Yeah, they're not.
I'm eager to see it.
They'll be a 7 or 8
They have
win
players on their defense. Their defense is not going to stink if the receiver comes back healthy.
I didn't say they're going to be a 4-win team. I said they're going to be a 7 or 8 win team.
And that's a couple more defensive plays, they win 10 games. Throughout 17 games, a couple more defensive plays, they win 10 games. That's why I think their defense has some players. I just don't know what Harbaugh's overall impact is going to be. And I think if they found another receiver, the receiver that got hurt, I don't know where he is. Do you know where he is coming back? Where his injury situation is?
Neighbors is not expected to make it back for the first week.
But he'll be back throughout the year. If they can find another receiver for Dart to throw to, I don't think Dart is that bad. I think Dart might not be the smartest quarterback, but I don't think he's not a bad quarterback. I think he can play the game. It's just he's going to have some things to work on. And I'm interested to see what the Giants do. I don't think they're not going to be the worst team in the league, but I'm interested to see what they're going to be.
Well, you know what? If they need a receiver, I heard about a receiver who thinks he's great. He's great number 2.
That's right. Diggs says you can't name a better number 2 than him, and he's not wrong. Now, when it comes to second receivers, he's absolutely wrong. But because if he was the best second receiver, he'd be on a roster.
That's correct. So
I think there's some things that precede him.
I think they are still number 4 in the division.
I think they'll be better than Washington.
We'll see.
We'll see how Daniels come back. That's a big question mark too. If Daniels coming back, and now that first year, 2 years ago, they had Daniels had that remarkable season, but he did that with some older players that I don't think they're on the roster.
That first season, they became the oldest roster in the league. I mean,
Washington.
That's tough to run it back. Yeah.
Yeah. Not only did Daniels get hurt last season, but that's hard to duplicate. So let's see how they replenish that roster. I mean, that's going to be intriguing. I mean, I think they'll be neck and neck with the Giants, but I think the Eagles and the Cowboys are obviously competing for that division.
For sure.
I don't even think the Cowboys make a competition. I think that the Eagles win this.
Why would you think the Cowboys have some competition?
I think the Cowboys can still split with us, but I think that it's going to be by week 13 we're going to have the division in hand, and then that's it's ultimately I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
So what's your record prediction? You said by week 13 you'll have the division in hand, so you're going to be what, 12-1 by that point?
And we'll have to cover that next time because we got to get out of here. So there you go, cliffhanger. Tune in next Wednesday for that prediction. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. And of course, if you are listening on 97.3 ICU Radio, stay tuned for some smooth jazz. Otherwise, we're going to get out of here right at that hour mark. Take it easy, everybody.
Peace.
Have a good one, man.